Yo, Diddy is straight up shook in the courtroom right now. Remember when Kat was on Club Shay? Shay dropping bombs about turning down Diddy's party.
I had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no.
Now Diddy's legal squad is desperate to make sure Kat doesn't spill more secrets that could send Diddy to the pen for life. It's about to get real messy in this video. I break down the exclusive gist on how Bad Boy's former boss is begging the judge to keep Kat Williams off the witness stand, Kat Williams' prophetic warnings, and Diddy's courtroom panic inside the tense Manhattan federal courtroom. Sean Diddy Combs' legal team has been working overtime to prevent one particular witness from potentially taking the stand. Comedian Kat Williams, whose explosive statements about the music mogul have suddenly taken on prophetic significance. While Williams isn't currently on the official witness list, rumors of his potential testimony have reportedly left Diddy in a state of growing panic, the reason for Diddy's apparent anxiety. Williams' January 2024 appearance on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay podcast, where he delivered what now seems like an uncannily accurate prediction about the music moguls. Future months before federal agents would raid Diddy's properties and ultimately arrest him on serious criminal charges.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed.
More specifically, Williams claimed he had repeatedly turned down invitations to Diddy's notorious parties, stating explicitly that he had rejected substantial sums of money to protect his integrity.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no.
These statements made months before Diddy's September 2024 arrest on charges including racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution have taken on a startling new significance. As the trial unfolds, the prosecution has reportedly expressed interest in potentially calling Williams to testify about his knowledge of Diddy's parties and the culture of silence that allegedly allowed problematic behavior to continue unchecked for decades. According to courtroom observers, Diddy appeared visibly distressed when Williams' name was mentioned during a pre-trial hearing, discussing potential witnesses. Lauren LaRosa, a journalist covering the trial for The Breakfast Club, described Diddy's increasingly fragile state as the proceedings have progressed.
But you said, how did Diddy look?
Did he look stressed out?
He's definitely a lot thinner. Face is very pale. A lot of gray hair. Some black, but a lot of gray hair. You could tell he was nervous, and he said it in the courtroom. He had asked to go to the bathroom. He was like, "Excuse me, Judge, I'm a little bit nervous." But you could tell at one point in time I saw, and I was watching him very closely. I saw like his hand shaking a bit, but very involved. He's fighting for his life, literally. Like, I mean, he came with like a case of paperwork. He was on the tablet sitting next to Brian Steele. He's reading every juror profile as things are happening.
This description paints a stark contrast with the confident, powerful image Diddy has cultivated throughout his career. The man who once proudly declared himself a savage who gets whatever I want.
I'm an MTV out. Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get! Yes! What's next? What's next? I gotta get it. I'm not gonna stay fucking down. I'm not gonna stay fucking lying down. I can't do that, man. I can't do that. What's next? Give me something else.
The trial, which began with jury selection on May 5th, 2025, has already featured testimony from several witnesses whose accounts paint a disturbing picture of Diddy's alleged behavior. Israel Flores, a Los Angeles police officer who worked security at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016, testified about responding to a distress call following an incident where Combs allegedly assaulted his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Flores described seeing Ventura with a purple eye wanting to leave, while Combs allegedly offered cash in what the officer interpreted as a potential bribe. Daniel Phillip, a male review manager, provided equally disturbing testimony, describing paid sexual encounters with Cassie Ventura in 2012, with Combs allegedly present directing the encounters and recording. Then Phillip claimed Diddy took his driver's license as a form of threat and testified that he witnessed the mogul dragging Ventura by her hair, As these witnesses have taken the stand, Diddy's legal team has reportedly become increasingly concerned about who else might be called to testify. Court filings suggest they have filed multiple motions to limit witness testimony, particularly from individuals who weren't directly involved in the specific incidents outlined in the indictment, but who might speak to broader patterns of behavior. The prosecution has countered that establishing these patterns is essential to proving the racketeering charge, which requires demonstrating an organized criminal enterprise rather than isolated incidents. They argue that witnesses like Williams, who allegedly declined invitations to events where criminal activities allegedly occurred, can provide valuable context about how these events were perceived within the industry. Judge Subramanian has yet to rule definitively on whether Williams could be called, though legal experts suggest that his testimony might face challenges related to relevance and potentially being more prejudicial than probiter. Nevertheless, the mere possibility appears to have rattled Diddy, whose courtroom demeanor has reportedly grown increasingly anxious. As the trial progresses, the prosecution's witness list officially includes Cassandra Cassie Ventura, whose lawsuit filed in November 2023 was the catalyst that ultimately led to the current criminal charges. Another expected witness, referred to as Jane Victim 2 to protect her identity, will reportedly testify about her experiences with Diddy. The list also includes individuals identified as Victim 3 and Victim 4. Though the prosecution revealed on May 9, 2025, that they cannot locate Victim 3, potentially complicating aspects of their case as the trial unfolds. The gap between Diddy's carefully cultivated public image and his current reality in the courtroom grows increasingly stark. The man who once dominated the entertainment industry with seemingly untouchable power now appears diminished, anxiously watching as witnesses detail allegations that could potentially send him to prison for life. And with each passing day, Katt Williams' predictions about 2024 being a year of reckoning for deviants in positions of power seem increasingly prescient. Damning testimony and mounting evidence as Sean Diddy Combs' trial continues in Manhattan federal court. Testimony about his alleged freak-offs, the term prosecutors use to describe drug-fueled sex parties, has painted an increasingly disturbing picture of what allegedly occurred behind closed doors at the music mogul's properties. The evidence presented thus far forms the foundation of serious charges against Diddy, including racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. The indictment, unsealed following his arrest in September 2024, alleges that Diddy ran a criminal enterprise spanning decades, using his business empire and associates to facilitate and conceal alleged criminal activities. Prosecutors claim he bussed women by forcing them into days-long sexual activities with male commercial sex workers, using violence, intimidation, narcotics, financial control, and threats to ensure compliance. One witness provided particularly graphic testimony about attending a gathering at Diddy's Star Island property during Miami's Ultra Music Week, describing how phones were confiscated and placed in locked pouches to prevent documentation of activities inside.
We arrived, security guard patted us down. They put our phone in this little bubble case. So the bubble case is closed. They can't get unlocked until we walk out. So as we're in there, the only way of us taking any type of pictures is if we get in the photo booth. He has like a Team Love photo booth or whatever.
The witness described a selection process for determining who would be allowed into the main house, allegedly where the most explicit activities occurred.
One of his sons, I'm not going to tell you which one, but it was like recruiting like whoever they wanted to go inside the house, because the freak off is inside the house and in the backyard.
Inside the house, because the freak off is inside the house and in the backyard. Inside the scene allegedly involved open drug use, nudity, and sexual activity occurring in the early morning hours.
So you have the pool, and they're playing loud house music, like Mark. The house music, it makes you feel kind of woozy, first of all, because it's like a rave or something. Dun, 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 and it's real loud, so you can't really see nothing, but you're seeing everybody like walking around, drunk, hopping around. It's still 7 a.m. So the sun is like coming up, and people are walking around naked, period. Let's get into it.
The witness also recounted feeling targeted by Diddy himself, describing how she overheard conversations that suggested she had been specifically selected for his attention.
I heard conversations or whatever, and then P. Diddy was like, that's the one that I want. I want her.
This testimony aligns with what multiple accusers have claimed in civil lawsuits filed against Diddy since November 2023. Over 63 lawsuits have been filed as of April 2025, with allegations ranging from sexual assault to sex trafficking, many involving these infamous parties. A particularly damning piece of evidence in the case is a 2016 surveillance video showing Diddy physically assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway, footage he later apologized for when it became public in May 2024. This video has been admitted as evidence in the trial, providing jurors with visual confirmation of at least one instance of physical abuse. The prosecution has combined testimony from alleged victims with supporting evidence, including surveillance footage, communications records, and testimony from witnesses who allegedly facilitated or observed the behavior in question. They aim to establish a pattern spanning decades rather than isolated incidents, supporting the racketeering charge at the heart of the case. Diddy faces 5 serious criminal counts that collectively could result in life imprisonment if convicted. These include 1 count of racketeering, conspiracy, maximum sentence of life in prison, 2 counts of sex trafficking, minimum 15 years, maximum life each, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, maximum 10 years each. His legal team, led by attorneys Mark Anthony Agnifo and Tenny Gagos, with recent additions like Brian Steele, known for representing Young Thug, has characterized the relationships as consensual. They argue Diddy led Aswinger lifestyle, believing multiple sex partners, including sex workers, was appropriate. The defense has also filed motions citing racial targeting, particularly regarding the transportation charge. Though these motions have been unsuccessful thus far, notably, Diddy rejected a plea deal offered by prosecutors, choosing to fight the charges in court. This decision indicates his continued assertion of innocence despite the mounting allegations against him since his arrest in September 16, 2024. Diddy has been held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, deemed a serious flight risk by the court. His bail requests have been denied, with appeals filed in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Reports describe his detention conditions as horrific, and he has faced accusations of violating prison rules by contacting potential witnesses and attempting to influence testimony. The trial has faced additional complications. Related to witness availability, the prosecution has revealed difficulties locating victim 3A, key witness associated with the racketeering conspiracy charge. Her absence could potentially impact certain aspects of their case as more witnesses take the stand and more evidence is presented. The likelihood of Katt Williams potentially being called to testify remains a source of apparent anxiety for Diddy and his legal team. Williams' January 2024 statements, which seemingly predicted Diddy's legal troubles months before his arrest, have gained substantial attention online, with many viewing them as evidence that rumors about Diddy's behavior were well known within industry circles long before becoming public. For Diddy, the stakes couldn't be higher beyond the immediate legal jeopardy. His legacy, reputation, and future hang in the balance. The contrast between his former status as an untouchable music industry titan and his current position as a defendant fighting serious criminal charges underscores the dramatic reversal of fortune he has experienced, and with potential witnesses like Katt Williams possessing knowledge that could further damage his defense. His reported pleas to keep such figures off the stand reflect the desperation of a man facing the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. The path from hip-hop mogul to federal defendant represents one of the most dramatic falls from grace in entertainment history for Sean Diddy Combs, once the embodiment of hip-hop entrepreneurial success. Diddy now sits in a Manhattan courtroom facing charges that could permanently alter his legacy and potentially end his freedom. The collapse of Diddy's carefully constructed empire began on November 16, 2023, when his former girlfriend Cassandra Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit in Manhattan's federal court alleging a decade-long pattern of abuse from 2007 to 2018. The 35-page complaint accused Comey of sexual assault, battery, and sex trafficking, claiming she was trapped in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. Surprisingly, the lawsuit was settled out of court just one day after filing, with terms undisclosed, and the case dismissed with prejudice, despite the swift settlement Ventures lawsuit, acted as a catalyst, triggering a wave of additional legal actions against Diddy by November 2024. The one-year anniversary of Ventures filing, at least 28 more lawsuits had been filed. Allegations of assault and other abuses dating back to 1991, the situation escalated dramatically on March 25, 2024, when federal agents conducted raids on Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. As part of a sex trafficking investigation, these high-profile raids yielded significant evidence, including AR-15 style guns, large capacity magazines, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant items that would later feature prominently in the indictment against him. 6 months after the raids, on September 16, 2024, Diddy was arrested in New York City on federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation for prostitution. The indictment detailed what prosecutors termed freak-offs, alleged drug-fueled sex parties where victims were coerced into sexual acts through violence, intimidation, and drugging. Diddy pleaded not guilty, but was denied bail, deemed a flight risk, and has remained detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn since his arrest. Perhaps the most damning piece of evidence in the mounting case against Diddy emerged on May 17, 2024, when CNN released surveillance footage from 2016 showing him physically assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway. The video showed Diddy grabbing, shoving, and kicking Ventura, visual confirmation of the abuse she had alleged in her lawsuit 2 days after the video's release. Diddy issued a public apology taking full responsibility for his actions, a rare acknowledgement of wrongdoing in a case where he has otherwise maintained his innocence. This video evidence has been allowed in the current trial, providing jurors with graphic confirmation of at least one incident of physical abuse. Its impact cannot be overstated as it transforms what might otherwise be dismissed as a he said, she said situation into a documented case of violence. The scope of allegations against Diddy spans decades and includes claims from individuals in various capacities: former romantic partners, employees, casual acquaintances, and industry colleagues. Joey Dickerson, Neela, alleged that Combs drugged and sexually assaulted her after a date in 1991, claiming he also distributed a video of the incident as revenge point. Liza Gardner claimed Combs and Aaron Hall raped her in 1990, with an assault and choking incident days later. April Lampro alleged multiple sexual assaults, including forced oral sex and involving then-girlfriend Kim Porter, in a lawsuit filed in May 2024. These early allegations established a pattern that would be echoed in later claims, accusations of drugging, assault, recording without consent, and threats to maintain silence. The consistency across decades of allegations from individuals who likely had no contact with each other lends credibility to the prosecution's argument that these were not isolated incidents, but part of a systematic pattern of behavior. The civil lawsuits have continued to mount, with over 63 filed by April 2025, involving allegations from more than 100 women and men. In October 2024, lawyer Tony Busby announced over 100 new assault allegations, including 25 minors, with cases involving victims as young as 9 years old by February 2025. 10 more lawsuits were filed before the Gender Motivated Violence Act deadline, including claims by a male escort and Kirk Burroughs. Beyond the legal consequences, Diddy has faced significant professional and reputational fallout. Howard University revoked his honorary doctorate on June 7, 2024, and returned his $1 million donation. New York City rescinded the Key to the City awarded in September 2023, and Miami-Dade County revoked Shaw Diddy Combs Day established. In 2016, radio stations began editing songs to remove references to Diddy, with some stations removing his music from rotation entirely. The case has also brought renewed scrutiny to past comments from individuals who spent time in Diddy's orbit. Usher, who lived with Diddy as a teenager in the 1990s, described his time there as pretty wild in a 2016 interview, saying he witnessed curious things that he didn't fully understand at his young age.
He's gonna
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle,
Right.
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
When asked if he would ever send his own children to what the interviewer termed Puffy Camp, Usher's response was emphatic.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
Even more tellingly, a 2002 interview resurfaced amid the current allegations showing Diddy joking about locking women in at parties and creating hot environments to influence their behavior comments that take on a sinister tone in light of current allegations.
They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
The casual nature of these comments made publicly without apparent concern for how they might be perceived speaks to the level of impunity Diddy seemingly felt throughout much of his career. Given these past statements and the growing mountain of evidence against Diddy, it's perhaps unsurprising that his legal team would be desperate to prevent figures like Cat Williams from potentially testifying. Williams, whose comments about declining invitations to Diddy's parties and predicting a year of consequences for deviance in power positions, represents exactly the kind of witness whose testimony could further damage Diddy's defense. If Williams were to testify about what he knew or had heard about Diddy's parties, especially if he could provide specific details about why he declined to attend it, could potentially corroborate other witnesses' accounts and strengthen the prosecution's case. This explains their purported efforts by Diddy's legal team to prevent Williams from being called, including alleged appeals to Judge Supermanian to limit witness testimony to those directly involved in the specific incidents outlined in the indictment. The trial, which began with jury selection on May 5, 2025, is expected to continue for approximately 8 weeks as more witnesses take the stand and more evidence is presented. The question of whether Cat Williams will be among them remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: his January 2024 warnings about Diddy have proven remarkably prescient, adding another layer to a case that has already fundamentally reshaped the legacy of one of hip-hop's most influential figures for Diddy facing potential life imprisonment. If convicted on all counts, the stakes couldn't be higher. The man who once dominated the entertainment industry with seemingly untouchable power now appears diminished, anxiously watching as witnesses detail allegations that could potentially send him to prison for the remainder of his life. And with each passing day, the prospect of additional witnesses like Cat Williams potentially taking this stand only adds to the pressure, explaining the reported desperation to keep such figures out of the courtroom. While Cat Williams commands most of Diddy's courtroom anxiety, he's not the only truth teller whose potential testimony has the music mogul concerned. Monique, another outspoken critic of power dynamics in the entertainment industry, has also been mentioned as someone who could potentially provide context about the environment that allegedly enabled Diddy's behavior during her own appearance on Club Sha. Monique spoke passionately about the importance of holding powerful figures accountable.
When we have our juggernauts, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, these are our juggernauts of our community. These are the people that our babies say, when I grow up, I want to be that.
Yes.
I want to be like that. So we have to call those people to the mat and say, listen, what are you teaching our babies?
Whether Williams ultimately testifies or not, his words from January 2024 continue to echo through the proceedings, a reminder that sometimes the truth finds its way to the surface. No matter how powerful those who would prefer it, remain hidden may be missing witnesses and courtroom drama. Hey, let me break it down for y'all about what kind of heat Puffy is facing in the courtroom. Diddy's federal trial popped off on May 5th, 2025 at the Manhattan Southern District of New York Federal Courthouse. The case, officially titled United States 5 Comems, is expected to drag on for about 8 to 10 weeks, with the court grinding Monday through Friday like a regular 9-to-5. At the heart of the prosecution's case are 4 alleged victims referred to in the legal paperwork as Victim 1, Victim 2, Victim 3, and Victim 4, while 3 of them have their identities on lock for privacy reasons everybody and their mama knows. Victim 1 is Cassandra, Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex, whose lawsuit back in November 2023 was the first domino to fall. The other 3 alleged victims got the green light to testify under fake names to protect them from significant embarrassment, anxiety, and social stigma because of the explicit nature of what they're expected to. Talk about this protection makes sense given the sensitive allegations, which include claims of being forced into sexual situations with male prostitutes and being coerced into Diddy's infamous freak-offs. But check this on day 3 of the trial. The prosecutors dropped a bombshell when they admitted they can't find one of these key witnesses. The one they call Victim 3. This unexpected plot twist could mess up the prosecution's game plan in a major way.
Prosecutors were dealt some seriously bad news over the last couple of days. They can't find one of the 3 primary witnesses.
This is massive because we all know that their case hinges on these unnamed victims that they've listed out in their indictment, plus victim number 1, which everyone knows to be Cassie. She will testify, but victim number 3 is where all the action is.
According to prosecutor Maureen Comey in court, victim 3 doesn't live anywhere near NYC, which makes it harder to get her in the courtroom despite their efforts to hit her with a subpoena. Prosecutors are worried she might not show up, even if legally required to this unusual situation, has Diddy's defense team pushing for answers, demanding that prosecutors let the court know their plan for victim 3's testimony by the end of the week. The judge has told prosecutors to try harder to reach both victim 3 and her lawyer, recognizing how important her testimony could be. But as of May 8, 2025, the prosecution still can't reach either of them, which has people questioning whether this potentially crucial witness will ever take the stand.
If you have a trial subpoena, you are legally obligated to show up and testify, and this is going to piss prosecutors off. So
you're bound, you're under penalty.
This development has got people speculating about why victim 3 seems to be ducking the trial, while we don't want to jump to conclusions without facts. Legal experts have floated a few possible explanations. She might have changed her mind about testifying. Not wanting the stress and spotlight that comes with being involved in such a high-profile case, she could be worried about career blowback in the music industry, where Diddy still has mad connects, even with his current legal troubles. There's the possibility of intimidation or pressure. From people in Diddy's circle, she might just want to move on from the traumatic experiences instead of reliving them in front of a jury. But keep in mind, these are just theories, and nobody really knows why she's ghosting the prosecution right now. What we do know is that her absence could weaken the prosecution's case, since they've indicated that victim 3 was supposed to provide some key testimony about the alleged trafficking activities.
Now, it's not that they can't do it, and there are going to be other people are going to testify who aren't victims necessarily, aren't alleged victims, but have witnessed the conduct that Diddy's engaged in. Prosecutors presumably have those people too on their witness list. We're going to find out as the case goes on.
Despite this setback, the prosecution is still moving forward, relying on testimony from the other alleged victims and witnesses who might have seen Diddy's behavior or been involved in his activities. These are expected to include a friend, a business associate, and a male sex worker, plus Cassie Ventura. The prosecution's whole case is built around the claim that Diddy was running what amounts to a criminal enterprise through his businesses, including Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Global Enterprises. They're saying he used his employees' resources and industry pool to facilitate his alleged crimes and keep control over his victims. This approach lets them pursue those serious racketeering charges that could put Diddy away for life if he's found guilty. Now let's talk about Diddy's defense strategy. His legal team, led by attorneys Mark Agnello and Tenny Jaros, is mainly focused on portraying all the alleged sexual encounters as consensual activities between adults. They keep describing the accusers as former long-term girlfriends who willingly participated in Diddy's lifestyle, which they frame as that of a swinger.
That is because she told them she had helpful information. And actually, they would have asked her a million questions. She would have stood up under... This woman had something to testify that was going to help prosecutors' case.
Besides challenging the nature of these relationships, Diddy's lawyers have been aggressively contesting certain evidence, demanding that prosecutors produce videos mentioned in the indictment, which they claim show adults having consensual sex, plain and simple, with no violence or coercion. This move suggests they're confident that the visual evidence will back up their side of the story rather than the prosecution. The defense caught an early W when Judge Submanian ordered prosecutors to destroy materials they seized during a raid on Diddy's jail cell, ruling that the search violated attorney-client privilege. The materials reportedly included notes and recordings about Diddy's trial strategy, which his attorneys argued were improperly obtained, and should be thrown out. However, the defense is facing some major hurdles, especially with allegations that Diddy has been trying to influence witness testimony from behind bars. Prosecutors claim he used other inmates' phone accounts and three-way calls to reach people not on his approved contacts list, potentially trying to shape their statements or discourage them from cooperating with the investigation. They also alleged that he told family members to reach out to potential witnesses and orchestrated social media statements to counter specific allegations, like an Instagram post by Witness 2 disputing claims made in Don Richards' civil lawsuit. If these witness tampering accusations turn out to be true, they could seriously damage Diddy's credibility with the jury and potentially lead to additional charges. Another challenge for the defense is the hotel surveillance video showing Diddy allegedly assaulting Cassie Ventura. Despite their efforts to keep this footage out of the trial, arguing that it had been altered, CNN denied any manipulation and the judge ruled it admissible. This video could significantly impact the jury's perception of Diddy and lend weight to the broader allegations of abuse and coercion. The defense has also made some strategic moves during jury selection, questioning potential jurors to identify any biases that might work against Diddy. They've challenged certain expert witness testimony to successfully arguing against the use of coercive control, and psychologist Don Hughes' testimony, limiting it to coping strategies for victims. This suggests a strategy to limit the prosecution's ability to frame the allegations as abusive during the initial days of the trial. Diddy has appeared in court wearing his own clothes rather than jail attire, opting for a dark blue sweater over a crisp white button-down, though his hair has noticeably grayed during his 7 months in custody, as hair dye isn't allowed in the Brooklyn jail where he's being held. This change in appearance from his typically polished public image provides a visual reminder of the serious situation he's facing as the trial progresses beyond jury selection toward opening statements and witness testimony. The stakes continue to rise for both sides. The prosecution must prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, despite the complication of a missing witness, while the defense needs to effectively counter the mountain of evidence and allegations against their client. The trial is expected to continue for another 8-10 weeks, with court sessions scheduled Monday through Friday. During this time, we anticipate hearing detailed testimony about the alleged freak-offs and the methods Diddy supposedly used to coerce and control his victims, balanced against the defense's portrayal of consensual relationships and willing participation. The allegations, the charges against Diddy are mad serious. No cap, he's looking at 1 count of racketeering conspiracy that can get you life in the pen, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, each one carrying life with a minimum of 15 years, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, each with up to 10 years. The feds claim this mess spans a whole 2 decades from 2004 to 2024, saying Diddy was out here abusing, threatening, and forcing women into these drug-fueled sex parties he called freak-offs. Then supposedly he'd threaten them to stay quiet so his public image wouldn't take a hit and to keep himself out of legal drama. For the record, Diddy is maintaining his innocence, pleading not guilty across the board. His legal squad keeps saying that all these encounters were consensual and that the alleged victims were just former long-term girlfriends who were involved in consensual relationships. They're basically saying Diddy was just living that swinger lifestyle, and there wasn't nothing criminal about what he was doing. The judge holding it down in this high-stakes trial is Judge Aaron Subramanian, who President Biden put on the bench in 2022 before the Senate confirmed him in 2023 with a 59-37 vote. Judge Subramanian is only 45, which is young for a federal judge, and he's got the tough job of keeping everything fair and orderly in one of the most watched celebrity trials in years. According to a reporter, about 90 minutes into jury selection, Diddy asked for a bathroom break when the judge questioned if he really needed one. Diddy raised his hand a little and admitted, "Your Honor, I'm feeling a little bit nervous right now." This is wild coming from a dude who's always been on his boss man energy, the same guy who threw those infamous white parties and ran through the industry like he owned it. Now he's sitting in court looking shook, facing the possibility of never being free again. That's a different kind of pressure. The trial started with jury selection, which was a whole thing by itself because of who Diddy is. The court had to screen more than 600 potential jurors, knowing it would be a struggle to find people Who didn't already have opinions about the bad boy founder?
Yeah, there's really been a flurry of activity, but you got to give credit to Judge Subramanian here. He is really starting to exert control over this case, and he has a schedule that he wants to keep. And part of that schedule is getting this jury selected by Friday. So as you mentioned, he's whittled down the pool. Remember, we started with over 600 potential jurors because this was going to be a hard case to find the 18 people you need, those 12 jurors and those 6 alternates.
By the third day, Judge Subramanian had narrowed this massive pool down to 45 people. And from those, they picked the final jury, 12 main jurors plus 6 alternates. That's efficiency. Right there, showing the judge is on his grind to keep this trial moving. Despite all the complications during jury selection, potential jurors were shown a list with over 100 names, and places that might come up during the trial. The list had mad celebrities on it, including
Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Michael B. Jordan. These names and other celebrities came up at day one of Diddy's sex trafficking trial in Manhattan. Those names were on a list of possible people whose names might come up at some point during what's expected to be an action-packed 2-month trial.
Seeing all these big names just shows how connected everything is in the entertainment world, and suggests we might get a rare look behind the curtain of celebrity culture. But let's be clear, just because somebody's name is on that list doesn't mean they did anything wrong or were involved in any alleged crimes while screening jurors. The court asked if they had any connections or feelings about these celebrities that might stop them from being fair. They need jurors who can look at evidence. Without bias, no matter which famous names pop up during the trial, the allegations against Diddy didn't just come out of nowhere when the feds got involved. They're the result of a whole series of lawsuits and accusations that have been building. Especially since November 2023, the biggest one came from Cassandra Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who claimed he physically, sexually, and emotionally abused her throughout their decade-long relationship. Ventura's lawsuit got settled just one day after filing for an amount nobody knows, and Diddy didn't admit to doing anything wrong. But once she spoke up, it was like she opened the floodgates and mad other people started coming forward with their own stories about the music mogul. One of the key pieces of evidence in the current trial is a hotel surveillance video from 2016 that appears to show Diddy putting hands on Cassie. CNN got this footage exclusively, and it's straight disturbing, showing Diddy allegedly throwing Cassie to the ground near an elevator in an LA hotel, kicking her twice and trying to drag her away.
This morning, a look at the disturbing hotel surveillance video exclusively obtained by CNN of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs amid several assault allegations. The video from March 2016 reportedly shows Combs attacking his then-girlfriend, singer Cassie Ventura, throwing her to the ground near an elevator in a Los Angeles hotel, then seen kicking her twice and trying to drag her away. Ventura's attorney responding to the video, stating the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs.
The judge ruled, this video can be used as evidence in Diddy's trial, even though his defense team tried to block it. Having this footage could seriously impact how the jury sees Diddy and might make the prosecution's other claims about abuse and coercion seem more believable after Venture's lawsuit dropped. More than 63 additional civil complaints have been filed against Diddy, with lawyer Tony Busby announcing in October 2024 that he's representing 120 accusers, 60 men and 60 women, including 25 people, who say they were minors when the alleged incidents happened. These lawsuits include all kinds of allegations: sexual assault, battery, false imprisonment, trafficking, going back decades from the 90s to now. Many of these cases were filed under New York's gender-motivated violence protection law, which lets people sue even after the regular time limit has passed. This law is why there's been such a flood of civil complaints against Diddy, allowing people to seek justice for stuff that allegedly went down many years ago. The sheer number of these allegations paints a crazy picture of systematic misconduct, supposedly done by one of the biggest names in music. If they turn out to be true, we'd be looking at one of the most extensive patterns of abuse by a celebrity in recent memory, potentially up there with cases like Weinstein or Epstein in terms of scale and how long it went in first. Let's talk about these conspiracy theories, because they've been spreading like wildfire across social media. When a high-profile celebrity like Diddy faces serious criminal charges, it's almost inevitable that speculation and rumors will start flying. But the theories surrounding this case have reached a whole new level of intensity. Some of these Conspiracy theories involve claims about other major celebrities like Meek Mill, Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and Justin Bieber. Often with little to no evidence, one theory suggests that Meek Mill was present at parties involving underage girls and sex workers. Based on a lawsuit filed by producer Rodney Leal, Rod Jones, Meek has straight up denied these allegations and even offered $100 for someone to investigate how his name got dragged into this mess. Other theories are even wilder, suggesting that Beyoncé and Jay-Z are somehow connected to Diddy's alleged crimes with bizarre claims linking them to celebrity deaths like Aaliyah, Left Eye, and Michael Jackson. These allegations have zero credible evidence and are based mainly on people's interpretations of song lyrics and viral TikTok video. There's also speculation that Diddy groomed Justin Bieber, supported by a resurfaced video showing a 15-year-old Bieber hanging out with Diddy and making plans to go get some girls. Similar theories exist about Usher, who spent time with Diddy as a young teen. These claims were further fueled by a comment from Khloe Kardashian in a 2014 episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and even an AI-generated fake Bieber song titled Lost Myself at a Diddy Party that circulated on TikTok. Some celebrities have been more directly implicated through legal filings and amended complaint, filed in March 2025 by Ashley Parham, and twin-named plaintiffs listed over a dozen defendants, including NFL star Odell Beckham Jr., who was accused of participating in a violent gang in 2018. Beckham strongly denied these allegations, stating he was nowhere near the location at the time and would never commit such acts. Similarly, comedian Dusky Drew Desbordes was accused of Parham in 2018, but called the allegation a fabricated lie, noting that he wasn't even a public figure at that time and was living broke with his mom. These direct legal accusations are distinct from the broader conspiracy theories, though they still require proper legal evaluation before any conclusions can be drawn. Several major companies and brands have already distanced themselves from Diddy following the allegations. This corporate exodus reflects the serious reputational damage that has occurred even before any verdict has been reached for an entrepreneur whose brand was central to his business success. This represents a devastating financial blow, regardless of the trial's outcome. Some industry insiders have suggested that Diddy's case might represent just the tip of the iceberg, with potential for further revelations about misconduct in the entertainment world. This has created an atmosphere of anxiety within certain segments of the industry, with speculation about who might be implicated next. For artists who were closely associated with Diddy throughout their careers, the case presents a complicated situation. Many have remained notably silent, perhaps wary of being drawn into the controversy, or of appearing to take sides before the legal process concludes. Others may be processing their own experiences and relationships with the music mogul in light of the allegations. The case also raises important questions about how the industry will handle Diddy's extensive musical legacy as a producer and artist who shaped the sound of hip-hop and R&B across multiple decades. His creative contributions are significant, yet if convicted, that legacy will forever be tainted by his crimes, creating difficult decisions for streaming platforms, radio stations, and other entities that distribute his music as we look ahead to potential outcomes of this trial. Several scenarios are possible, each with its own implications. If Diddy is convicted on all charges, he could face life imprisonment given the severity of the charges in his age 55. This would effectively end his public career and likely lead to the dismantling of much of his business empire. A conviction would also potentially open the door to additional civil litigation from accusers seeking financial compensation beyond the many lawsuits already filed. The combined legal and financial consequences could be devastating, not just for Diddy personally, but for them, any businesses and individuals connected to him. Alternatively, if Diddy is acquitted or convicted on only some lesser charges, he might avoid life imprisonment, but would still face significant challenges rebuilding his reputation and business relationships. Even in this scenario, the public perception has been substantially affected by the allegations and evidence presented, making a full return to his previous status. Unlikely. There's also the possibility of a plea deal, though. Diddy rejected an initial offer on May 1, 2025. As the trial progresses and the strength of the evidence becomes clearer, both sides might reassess their positions. A plea deal could potentially result in a reduced sentence in exchange for guilty pleas to certain charges, providing some resolution while avoiding the full brunt of potential penalties. Regardless of the legal outcome, the social and cultural impact of this case will linger for years to come. It Hayes already sparked important conversations about power, consent, and accountability in the entertainment industry. These discussions may eventually lead to structural changes in how the industry operates, particularly in terms of protecting vulnerable individuals from exploitation. As the trial unfolds over the coming weeks, we'll likely see more evidence and testimony that will further clarify the allegations against Diddy. The prosecution's case will focus on establishing patterns of coercive behavior and demonstrating that Diddy used his businesses and resources to facilitate criminal activities.
As a reminder, Diddy is charged with very serious stuff, including coercing women into what he called freak-offs. Prosecutors have called them days-long coerced sexual performances.
Let's also talk about how this case has affected Diddy personally during his 7 months of incarceration at the Brooklyn jail, where he's been held without bail. His appearance has changed significantly, with his hair noticeably graying as hair dye isn't permitted in the facility. This physical transformation visually shows the seriousness of his situation and the toll it's taking.
His hair, though, has been increasingly getting more gray in the 7 months that he's been locked up, because hair dye is not allowed at the Brooklyn jail where he's staying. As a reminder, Diddy is charged with very serious stuff, including coercing women into what he called freak-offs.
For someone whose public image has been carefully cultivated for decades, this loss of control over his appearance and narrative represents a profound shift. No longer able to manage public perception through social media posts, strategic interviews, or carefully staged events, Diddy must now contend with a narrative largely shaped by court proceedings and witness testimony. The financial impact has been equally significant beyond the loss of brand partnerships and business opportunities. Diddy faces enormous legal expenses for his defense team and potential settlements or judgments in the numerous civil cases against him. The combined effect could substantially diminish the fortune he amassed over his decades-long career regardless of the criminal trial's outcome. There's also a broader question about the cultural reassessment of Diddy's career and influence. Many of his famous parties and public behavior that were once celebrated in the media are now being re-examined through a more critical lens. Comments and interactions that previously seemed harmless or were played for laughs on TV shows and interviews are now being scrutinized for potential signs of problematic behavior.
You need locks on the doors?
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
Justin, right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy. Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. I had legal guardianship of Usher when, he did his first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him.
These clips, which once might have been viewed as playful or innocuous, now take on potentially darker implications in light of the current allegations. This wholesale reevaluation of Diddy's public persona demonstrates how dramatically perceptions can shift when serious accusations come to light. The question of who knew what and when will likely continue to loom large, both within the trial itself and in public discourse. Were there industry figures who were aware of Diddy's alleged behavior but remained silent? Were there systems in place that enabled potential misconduct? These uncomfortable questions may lead to further soul-searching within the entertainment world. Peace out, and we'll catch you in the next video. Click on the boxes on your screen.